The attempts to classify living organisms began centuries ago. The first classifications were made to identify organisms that were useful to man for food, shelter, and clothing. It was Aristotle who devised the first scientific method of classification. Based on morphological characters, he classified plants into trees, shrubs, and herbs, and animals into two groups, those that had red blood and those that didn't. Later, Carl Linnaeus came up with the two-kingdom system of classification: Kingdom Plantae, that included all the plants, and Kingdom Animalia, that included all the animals. This classification system was reasonable for that time because it was easy to distinguish between immobile plants and mobile animals. However, this system did not distinguish between unicellular and multicellular organisms, prokaryotes and eukaryotes, and photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic organisms. There were also a large number of living organisms that did not fall into any category under this system. New studies about various organisms also revealed enormous variations of characteristics within the organisms of the same group, like cell structure, mode of nutrition, methods of reproduction, and evolutionary relationships. Therefore, though the two-kingdom classification system was used for a long time, it proved to be an inadequate system recently. In 1969, R.H. Whittaker proposed a five-kingdom classification system where three more kingdoms, Monera, Protista, and Fungi, were added to the existing kingdoms of Plantae and Animalia. The main criteria that Whittaker used for this classification system were cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, methods of reproduction, and phylogenetic relationships. Phylogenetics is the study of evolutionary relatedness among various groups of organisms. The earlier classification systems included all bacteria, algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, gymnosperms, and angiosperms under the plants category, based on the common premise that each one had a cell wall in their cells. The five-kingdom classification remedied this by placing organisms in different kingdoms based on the differences in their characteristics. Based on the differences in cell wall composition, heterotrophic fungi differ from autotrophic plants and were grouped under Kingdom Fungi. All prokaryotic organisms were grouped together under Kingdom Monera, and unicellular eukaryotic organisms were placed in Kingdom Protista. Previously, unicellular Chlamydomonas and multicellular Spirogyra were placed together under algae in Kingdom Plantae. However, in the new classification system, Chlamydomonas moved to Kingdom Protista, while Spirogyra remained in Kingdom Plantae. The five-kingdom classification system not only classified organisms into different groups, but also put together organisms that were earlier placed in different kingdoms. For example, Kingdom Protista brought together both Chlamydomonas and Chlorella with other eukaryotes like amoeba and paramecium, which were initially placed in Kingdom Animalia. Therefore, the five-kingdom classification system was evolved with an advancement in our understanding of the characteristics of organisms and their phylogenetic relationships. Depending on more such discoveries, the classification system may further need to be evolved in future.